Genre. The most basic level, it's what defines a video game. More so than the story or the gameplay or the graphics, the genre of a game gives you a good idea of what playing the game will be like. But what defines a genre? How can we determine what a game will be like if we don't have a good handle on our defining terms? In this first installment of our series on genre, I'll be examining one of the most rigidly defined genres in gaming, the MOBA. MOBA stands for Multiplayer Online Battle Arena, which is both an accurate term and a vague series of buzzwords that gives no impression of what it actually is. So, allow me to explain. Back in the olden days of the mid-2000s, a group of enthusiasts created a mod for Warcraft 3 called Defense of the Ancients, often shortened to Dota. Warcraft 3 was an RTS, a game where you micromanage a large number of units in real time. Dota, however, simplified this formula. Instead of controlling a lot of weaker units, players were given the keys to one extremely powerful unit called a hero. Teams of 5 players would fight each other using these heroes, attempting to destroy the enemy team's turrets and other structures with the help of weak NPCs called creeps. The Dota formula effectively codified the MOBA genre, and most of the MOBAs that have come after it have followed this formula incredibly closely. So what are the staples of a MOBA? Most are played from the same top-down isometric perspective as Dota, and by extension, as most RTSs. Players control a hero who has a basic attack and 4 special abilities. Teams of varied numbers of heroes, most commonly 5, are pitted against each other on a map consisting of several pathways lined with turrets, with thick labyrinthine forests in between. Players can kill weak NPCs known as creeps or minions that walk down the paths, which are called lanes, in order to earn gold. Gold is used to buy items, which enhance your stats. First team to knock down enough turrets and access and destroy the enemy team's nexus at their home base wins the game. The MOBA genre is rigid enough that there have been very few of them to ever exist that are actually worth talking about. By far the most popular are League of Legends, a splinter of the original Dota created by members of the original dev team, and Dota 2, a sequel to Dota created by Valve that takes basically the opposite approach from League on a lot of issues from the original Dota. Those are the big two, and they're also the closest to the original definition of the genre, which means that any smaller MOBA looking to stand out needs some sort of gimmick. Now, I say those are the big two, but once upon a time people talked about a big three. The third of those was Heroes of Newerth, which was essentially a middle ground between League of Legends and Dota 2. Heroes of Newerth didn't have that much that stood out about it, which is probably why no one plays it anymore, even though it still exists and is still free to play. Arguably the most popular MOBA outside of that core group has been Smite, in which players control gods and goddesses from traditional pantheons around the world. Rather than being played isometrically like most MOBAs, Smite is played from a third-person, over-the-shoulder angle, and controls using WASD instead of mouse clicks. This gives it a much different feel and flow of gameplay than League and Dota, and has given it a nice little niche in popularity. Blizzard, of course, had to dip its toes into the MOBA market as well, with Heroes of the Storm, which is essentially Blizzard's answer to Smash Bros, but as a MOBA. HOTS, as it's often called, plays fairly similarly to basic MOBAs, but with a greater focus on map-based events and team play over individual excellence. Gold from kills is shared across the team, meaning that it's of vital importance that every player contribute. HOTS also features multiple maps for its base game mode, which is unusual. Most games with multiple maps have only one per mode. Those 5, or 6 if you want to count the original Dota, are essentially the only MOBAs that matter. Battleborn represents an interesting mix between a MOBA and a first-person shooter, but has received mixed reviews and was absolutely crushed by its competitor Overwatch upon release. Infinite Crisis was a DC Comics MOBA that was based around League of Legends' Capture the Flag-esque game mode called Dominion, but weirdly refused to include such staple characters as, Batman, and so quickly went defunct. Finally, there's Adventure Time Battle Party, a surprisingly fun browser game on CartoonNetwork.com, which doesn't really count because of every single word I just said. And now you know. I'm Tyler, now back to the show.